We do have Kranthi Bathini joining us this morning. Kranthi, good morning. An absolutely flat opening for the markets. What do you make the mood of the market to be going forward for the day and the week?
Kartik, good morning to you. Yeah, markets are in a consolidation phase right now. We have the trade tariff outcomes. We need to wait and watch. What market is by and large ahead of this uncertainty of the global trade tariffs. The Asian markets, especially Indian markets, also in a wait and watch
Yeah.
mode. That's what we have been witnessing. There is a mixed commentary that's coming. Nobody is sure what kind of these trade tariff implications are going to be. Again, this morning we are getting the statement from the US administration. Those who are aligning with respect to the BRIC policies are concerned because India is the crucial country and we play a very pivotal role in terms of the BRIC policy making is concerned. So the commentary of US administration from the President Trump can have some kind of an impact in the medium to short term. We need to wait and watch. Ahead of all these commentary with respect to the trade tariffs are concerned, markets are in a consolidation phase. But by and large, what we are witnessing is Indian markets are in a positive territory. Despite of this consolidation, we can see some kind of a selective buying, and also we're entering into the earning season. So the earning season is going to lead the market in the next coming days.
All right. Of course, earnings season, we will come to that in just a bit, Kranthi. But you're right. I think the uncertainty over the news that comes from the US, especially now the fact that is the deadline indeed July 9th or is the deadline August 1st? Which is the deadline for which country? The 12 countries to which letters need to be issued by the US administration on Monday, that is a few hours from now, US time. I think this uncertainty is definitely playing not just on the Indian markets, but even on Asian markets. I want to just bring your notice to the IT stocks this morning, and this is something that we discuss quite frequently, Kranthi. And IT stocks are taking again a major beating, perhaps partly in anticipation of the earnings season that you talked about. Remember, TCS is going to be the first one to announce results on the 10th of this month. But overall, the mood on the IT space seems fairly somber this morning. You've got HCL Tech down more than a percentage. You've got Tech Mahindra down almost 1.5 percentage points. Kranthi, what do you make of the stress in the IT pack right now?
Kartik, what we witnessed recently was some kind of a cherry picking in IT stocks, and they're quite resilient in India. But the policy uncertainty of US and US growth worries have been having a lingering impact on US, lingering impact on especially the Indian IT companies are concerned. That's where the overhang is coming for these IT companies. But in a medium to short term, there can be some kind of a knee-jerk kind of a reaction for IT companies. But for the longer term investment horizon is concerned, any dip in these IT companies, one can do the cherry picking in these IT companies for a longer term perspective. But medium to short term, the entire episode of overhang about the policy making and also the Federal Reserve rate and also the US growth concerns going to have some kind of a lingering impact on these stocks in the medium to short term.
All right. We are also receiving some breaking news, Kranthi, as we are speaking. Apparently, Donald Trump has said that all countries supporting the BRICS nations are likely to be imposed with an additional 10% tariff. That is the breaking news which is coming in right now. We will try and get you more details of that as we continue with this broadcast. But an additional 10% tariff on all countries which are supporting BRICS nations seems to be a little too steep. So we will wait to confirm that story and bring you more details on that as we move on. Meanwhile, oil prices have slipped more than 1% today after OPEC Plus surprised markets by hiking output by more than expected terms for the month of August, raising concerns about oversupply. Brent crude futures fell 80 cents or 1.2% to $67.5 per barrel, while US WTI crude was at 65.68, down about 1.32 dollars to about 2%. The OPEC Plus, which has agreed on Saturday to raise production by 5,48,000 barrels per day, in the month of August. Well, that is the other story that we're tracking for you. And look at the stocks on the screen right now. Reliance Industries taking positively to that news. The stock is up about half a percentage point in trade this morning. Meanwhile, oil dwellers, including ONGC and Coal India, are down in trade. Kranthi, again, additional supply of oil in the month of August. Overall, oil prices coming down bodes well for the Indian economy, but not as much for
Absolutely.
stocks like ONGC, does it?
Absolutely, Kartik. Always, any reduction of oil prices is a positive for Indian economy. There might be can some kind of a negative impact is going to be there for a couple of stocks, but overall, the economy is going to get benefited because of the reduction in the oil prices are concerned. We have been bearish on oil prices, Kartik, despite of the recent worries about the Israel and Iran and the West Asia tensions also. We thought the spurt in the oil prices are temporary. Thanks to the de-escalation of global geopolitical issues. That's where the oil prices are coming back to the comfortable levels, which is most favorable for an economy like India. We can see as long as the crude oil in this level, Karthik, we need to keep always one thing in our radar. The depressed oil prices, that means the too much downtrend in the oil price is also not good for the Indian economy. And at the same point of time, too much high prices also not good for the Indian economy. When the oil prices are at a depressed price, that means it shows the worrying factors of the global growth concerns are concerned. So which is not good for the market at some point of time. At the same point of time, high global crude oil prices also going to have a negative impact on the Indian market. So the range for the crude oil can be around $60 per barrel, which is convenient for the Indian economy by and large. If we are thinking about oil prices going down to $30-40, that's again creates some kind of a negative sentiment for the global economy. So this is where one need to keep in mind how the global oil prices are going to impact the Indian markets in the medium to long term.
All right, well, let's come back to the breaking news that we are tracking for you, and this one coming by way of the US administration, which is now saying that India is going to, rather all countries which support what is being referred to as the anti-American BRICS will be imposed with an additional 10% tariff. Kranthi, this seems to be again a statement which is coming from the US administration over the fears of de-dollarization, and this is something that the US administration has been completely against and has been raising the alarm on. Does it seem to be any merit in considering the fact that now this expanded BRICS nation, which is not just the 4 or the 5 original countries, but also has Indonesia, also has the African Union and many other countries now adding to the BRICS bloc, does it seem as a direct 10% threat or a 10% penalty to all countries which are part of the BRICS bloc and which may intend to, in the near future or later, join the BRICS bloc?
Karthik, in terms of the global trade is concerned, the BRICS bloc right now consists about the original 5 and also the new additions that have added to the BRICS bloc, including, I believe, Saudi Arabia. So this is the crucial bloc in terms of the global trade is concerned and the emerging countries. But geographically, these countries are spread across various parts. But where the US concern that comes is if these countries are going to have the trade, the bilateral trade in their original currencies, that can have the impact on the dollar as a currency is concerned. That's where the US administration is much worried. But these are the early signs. We need to see. This is one of the apprehension by the US administration. But I don't think so. The US administration is in a hurry to implement this one. These are the warning signals that are they're giving to the BRICS countries. But we need to see, because one thing is they have the strong trade ties with US also back again. These are the warning signals US is giving. It is right now premature to apprehend because of this commentary. We need to wait and watch how this entire new episode, because the US president has been warning these kind of comments from the past 2-3 months back also. He made these kind of commentaries. Now, okay, he is coming deliberately on these countries ahead of the BRICS summit is concerned. So definitely the BRICS nations are going to have a discussion on these points, and they will take the appropriate measures to overcome these kind of warning signals.
Right. So, Kranthi, if you notice, and this is the statement that we are flashing, in fact, it's a post on Truth Social by Donald Trump, which you're flashing on the screens right now, which says any country aligning themselves with the anti-American policies of BRICS will be charged an additional 10% tariff. There'll be no exceptions to this policy. That is exactly what US President Donald Trump has posted on Truth Social just a few minutes ago. Now, it's understandable, Kranthi, that US has a big problem with China. Perhaps one could arguably say an even bigger problem with Russia. But what about countries like India, which US sees and finds a friend in? So do you think this is again a targeted strike only at China and perhaps at Russia, and every other country part of the BRICS bloc now becomes collateral damage?
Kartik, with respect to the current commentary is concerned, he mentioned that it is anti-American policies. So, so he is specifically mentioning the anti-American policies.
Is
So
he talking about
any-
de-dollarization to your mind, Kranthi, or are there other anti-American policies, like, for example, buying cheaper Russian oil?
that's what it seems. So anti-American policies he is much concerned, but India have the way out for all these events. Kartik, we can buy more LNG from US. That's where we can increase the bilateral trade, and also we reduce the current the trade surplus with US. So these are the measures, policy measures in a calibrated way. The policy makers in India, they're going to take. Of course, this commentary is deliberate on the BRICS nations as they're starting a summit. But we need to wait and watch. India have a strong bilateral ties with US, and also our commentary is not like the Russian counterparts are like the Chinese counterparts. Even in fact, Kartik, last couple of days back, the US administration, especially the President Trump, have given a stern warning to Japanese counterpart, which is a very strong, strong trade partner of US. He said he is getting frustrated with the policy negotiations of Japan. Japan is concerned. So when he made such a commentary on a nation like Japan, okay, I don't get surprised if he makes a commentary on BRICS nations are concerned.
All right, Kranthi, we will leave it at that. Thank you so much for your time this morning, and as always, a pleasure having you. Of course, this is a big story that we will continue tracking for you.